Hello, my name is Ima Ehumadu. Some of you like to call me La Vista. I welcome you to this very unique podcast, the Nollywood Hardcore. This is the only podcast where you get to meet your favorite legend. They tell you their story from the very beginning till where they are today. And today's episode is a very unique one. What makes it unique is because of the guests that I have in the house today. I'm not going to give you guys any expo. As usual, I like to leave you guys wondering who the guest is. But something tells me that I should give you one small expo. The only expo that I want to tell you is that this person, this guest, this legend is someone whom we can equate with Samson. You know Samson in the Bible? Samson fought with the lion and conquered the lion. But this guest had a fight with something bigger than the lion and conquered it. I'm not going to say more than this. But ladies and gentlemen, in the house today with me is legendary Zack Orji.
Thank you, La Vista. I prefer to call you La Vista because that's what you're known as.
Well, I different people call me different names.
Some prefer to call you Totolos.
Exactly. So when people call me whatever name, I understand where they are coming from. For example, if you call me Totolos, I'll know that you're one of the old school people in Nollywood, because it is only the Nollywood people that call me that name. If you call me Ima Ehumadu, I'll know that you are a very, very ardent fan of mine to know my real name. But once they call me Labista, I know that these are my general fans, the people that make me special. So whichever name you choose to call me, that's okay. Uncle prefers to call me Labista at this moment, so Labista I am. Uncle, it's good to have you on this podcast.
Thank you.
I'm very eager to start asking you questions. And as a matter of fact, I also know that right here, right now, a lot of guests want to hear one or two questions from you, or the answers to some of the questions from you. But I'm not going to be in a hurry. So we're going to take it easy and we'll take this ride nice and smooth.
No problem.
Yes. So as usual, I like to start from the very beginning, because this podcast is not just a podcast. It's a podcast that tells about the legend from the very beginning. Because I know a whole lot of people don't know our history. They don't know our story. So I prefer to just take it from the roots. So we already know your name is Zack Orji, unless there's another name added to Zack Orji that is not usually on the screen.
Yeah, there is a name that is not usually on the screen. My middle name.
Okay.
My middle name is Amefula.
Amefula.
And my father gave me that name, which means let my heritage not be lost.
Okay.
By reason of my work, I traveled to different countries. And by reason of my father's work, he also traveled to different countries.
Was he a policeman or a military man?
No, he worked with John Holt.
Oh.
And he had a knowledge of French. And in one of his travels, I was born in Gabon.
Oh. Guys, you see, this is why this is why you need to see this program and get to know some of this truth. Like, I never knew that you were born in Gabon. I know you have an affiliation with French, but I didn't know you were born there.
I was born in Gabon, and as God would have it, I have gone back to Gabon to direct a film. That was back in 2009.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So those of them who knew I was born in that country were very, very elated to see me coming back to my country of birth to direct a movie. It was awesome.
It must have been a thing of joy for them.
Yes, it was a thing of joy for them.
Okay, so talking about where you were born in Gabon, let's also get to hear from you, your childhood, growing up, schools you attended.
We didn't stay long in Gabon. We came back to Nigeria. And I actually have recollections of my primary school in Onitsha, St. John's School, Odabu.
Odabu.
Yes.
Okay.
I went to school in Onitsha. And I know some very notable people who went to the same school, but let's forget that for now.
Okay.
And at the age of 9, my father moved again to Cameroon.
Back to Cameroon. And each time he moves, you move with him.
His family has to move with him. So he traveled to Cameroon 1967.
I wasn't born then.
So my mother had to, put everything together, and we traveled also to meet my father there. And we spent about 10 and a half years in Cameroon, where I had, you would call it my formative years.
Okay.
And not many people know that I went to primary school twice.
How do you mean, sir?
Cameroon is a bilingual country, one
Okay.
of the very few in the world.
Okay, yes, I think I've heard that before. One part speaks English and the other part speaks French.
Speaks French. So
Okay.
we went to the English-speaking part. It used to be known as West Cameroon then.
Okay.
And I went to English-speaking primary school, and my father insisted that I must go to a French-speaking primary school. So I went to primary school twice.
Did you like the idea of going
I
to
didn't like it one
Exactly.
bit, because while I was in the French primary school, my younger brother was already in secondary school. But my father probably saw into the future.
Exactly.
And it was in later years that I came to appreciate what he did for me. I eventually learned to speak French, and I became bilingual, and also went to a French secondary school. We came back to Nigeria. I also went to an English secondary school, National Grammar School, Nike, in Enugu.
So primary school, you schooled twice.
Yeah, secondary
secondary
school,
school, you schooled
English and
twice.
French too. Then I got my 2 primary schools, first school living certificates, one in English, one in French.
This is the first time I'm hearing this.
So I graduated from National Grammar School, Nike, Enugu, where I was a member of the Dramatic Society. And I was also the senior prefect during my time. Up till now, my mates still remember me very well because I was a disciplinarian. I was indeed a disciplinarian.
Okay.
And not many people know that I am a sportsman. I was the school champion in shot put and discus. And I was also Anambra State champion in discus at the time when Anambra State was made up of the present Enugu, Anambra, and Ebonyi State. I was the school champion, and I was also the state champion in shot put, and represented Anambra State in 1978 at the National School Sports Competition in Calabar.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Calabar.
Mm-hmm.
In 78.
But you were born there.
Yes, I was already born there. I was. Okay. So you went to this series of schools and eventually got into the university?
Yes, I went to the University of Nigeria in Nsukka.
Nsukka.
But I was in Enugu campus.
Okay.
I studied estate management.
Not theater arts.
Not theater arts.
Okay.
But I had always been theater inclined.
Okay. But you said you were in the drama club while in secondary school.
While in secondary school.
So why did you choose to study estate management in university?
Well, it was at the time when I first of all passed JAMB. And what I put in JAMB was languages, English and French. I remember my English teacher asking me back then, Dr. Wankwo, who studied in the UK, he had lived in the UK for 21 years. He asked me, what are you going to study in French that you don't already know?
Okay.
So eventually, my parents refused that I can't go and study English and French. So that year, I didn't go into the university. I waited again the next year. While I was waiting, I did A levels. Yes. And government and economics, which I passed at A levels, and then sat for JAMB again. Let me just say, I was talked into studying, into putting estate management.
Okay, so it wasn't like 100% your
It
choice.
wasn't, yes, I wasn't so informed about, but I don't regret studying estate management because it is a course of study that is so well versed that you become grounded in a lot of things. And I graduated, did my youth service in Abeokuta. And after my youth service, one of the things I was doing while I was looking for a job in 1985 was accompanying some Nigerian businessmen who were going to do business in Lomé, in Cotonou, who couldn't speak French. So I was like an interpreter, you know. And I now began to see the advantage of being bilingual, you know, what my father, made me pass through. And even in my secondary school, I was the best in French. I actually made A1 in French.
Okay.
And we had a program in 1978 that was sponsored by the French Embassy in Lagos. About 61 students were selected from various secondary schools in Nigeria. I was the head of that delegation on a 3-week holiday program in Lomé. I was the head of that delegation. And eventually, while I was waiting to get a job, when the austerity measures were actually coming into place in 1985, I was doing some stuff. I was accompanying people by reason of my being bilingual. And I was very good in fine arts. I actually made C4 in fine arts in my secondary school. So I was also doing some paintings and things like that. Then I went into produce buying and selling. I also went into clearing and forwarding.
Did you just pick that up or you landed somewhere?
I grew up believing that I could apply myself to any endeavor and excel in it. That's how I was brought up.
You know, lots of you out there, especially you, the youths, like to think that you're restricted from doing what you want to do or being what you want to be. Now you're hearing it from a legend. He believed that he could do whatever he wanted, and so he did it. So you got into clearing and forwarding.
I never felt restricted in any way. I remember 2 of my friends, Emeka Ifediba, and then another Emeka who studied brewing. Emeka Ifediba studied brewing technology. The other Emeka was a lawyer. And all of us were looking for jobs at the time. And Emeka Ifediba had a master's degree. He was looking for a job at the time. And one day we just saw an advert in the newspaper. Trainee freight forwarding, trainee freight forwarders, trainee clearing and forward. And I applied. I applied believing that I could apply myself to anything I set out to do.
Okay.
And we got the job. At least I know that I got the job. And if Fediba got the job, the other Emeka also got the job. But we were not on any salary. At least we had an office that we could go to. Our job was to bring clients in.
You were not paid?
Were not paid.
No commission?
Commission. There would be commission if you bring a client in.
Okay.
So through me, we got a big client, Dizengoff. Dizengoff, West Africa, was I don't know if it still exists now. Dizengoff was an Israeli company.
Okay.
They were into electricals and electronics. And we became their clearing agents. And that was how I got my first break. Because I would negotiate the price. I would discuss with the company, this is how much they would use to clear their goods. And then I would negotiate with Dizengoff, this is how much we will use to clear the goods. And that's how I got my commission. The company did not even pay me any commission. I I arranged my own commission by negotiating on both sides.
Made your own money clean.
Yeah. And that's how I eventually moved into a flat of my own at a time when a 3-bedroom flat in Okota was 5,400 naira per annum.
The price of a loaf of bread now.
And that's how I got married too. I was actually married before I went into the movie industry.
You married that early?
I got married. I've been married for 35 years now.
To the same woman?
To the same woman, 1989.
Whoa.
Yeah, 1989.
So you got married before you got into the movies?
Yeah, before I got into the movies. So,
okay.
And, well, let me allow you to go ahead.
Yes. You went through all of this. You became a clearing agent. So how did you found yourself in Nollywood?
First of all, I left clearing and forwarding because of an incident that happened. One of the consignments had a problem. And it was discovered that there was a falsification of documents. First of all, this Israeli company trusted me so much that all the monies that were paid to the company for clearing their goods were paid in the name of Zack Orji, not even the company.
Okay.
That's how much they trusted me. So when a problem occurred, I was the one
they held responsible.
I didn't know that documents had been falsified. It was just by the grace of God that I got out of that mess. And as soon as I got out of that mess, I said, if this is the way clearing and forwarding is done, then it's not for me. I said bye-bye to clearing and forwarding.
That was how you quit?
That's how I quit clearing and forwarding. From clearing and forwarding, I went into produce buying and selling.
Okay.
People who needed produce for export. Yeah. And it was while I was sourcing a certain produce for export for a client that I came across these young guys, Matthias Obahabon.
Yes.
Kepi Ekpayong Basi.
Wow.
Obi Osotule. Ken Madiebu. They were doing the script of a movie at the time. And in retrospect, when I look at my journey in the movie industry, I just know that it was God ordained because I didn't pass through any necessary rigor to get my first role. Now, I was sourcing for a certain produce. Eken Naigwe, who eventually became at a certain point in time president.
He's a writer.
Yes,
he became
also
an artistic director and eventually a director.
And he also became president of the Writers Guild of Nigeria at a certain time.
Okay.
Eken Naigwe said he knew some guys who could introduce me to the company that would supply me the produce I was looking for.
Oh.
And that's how I got to meet Kepi Ekpayong Basi, Obi Osotile, all of them.
Were they the ones that were supposed to supply you?
No, they were the ones who were supposed to introduce me to the company that would, make me have access to the produce I was looking for.
Okay.
While when I met them, they were doing the story of the unforgiven sin.
Okay.
And they took a look at me, listened to my speech, and said, "You are the kind of person we are looking for." To play the leading role in the movie. That's how I got that first. You understand? So
The Unforgiven Sin was your first movie.
It was my first movie.
And your first movie was a leading role.
And that first movie got me a nomination for Best Actor in the first movie awards that was ever done in this country.
Wow. That's a great achievement.
The Unforgiven Sin. who directed it, Matthias Obayabon. But I remember it was late Chico Ejiro who came to my house to give me
the script,
the nomination.
Oh.
He was very happy and excited to bring me the nomination to my place. I said, "You have been nominated for Best Actor." Even though I didn't eventually win the award, for me it was enough.
Yes, well, that was a great achievement.
It was enough.
Your first movie,
my very
you got
first
nominated.
Movie, I got nominated. Because I remember while we were filming, one of our directors of photography was Solomon Nwoko.
Okay.
We would finish a certain scene and Solomon would just fold his hands and be looking at me and say, "Oga, bros, I know sure saying that the first time they do movie. And from today, I don't begin fear you." You know how Solo talks. You know?
I can imagine.
And I remember the first time I watched the movie, tears came out of my eyes.
The same movie?
Yeah, the same movie, The Unforgiven Sin. It was the story of Chuka. That was my name. The story of Chuka who got married abroad and came back with his wife to Nigeria. He got wedded abroad, came back to Nigeria with his wife to do the traditional, because for us, traditional is the main thing.
Yes.
And you know, as is the case in traditional marriages, each family goes to make inquiries about the other family. So while they were making inquiries about the family my wife came from, they discovered that they were from an untouchable family, Osu. That was where the problem started. But I was already wedded with my wedding ring, and my family said, "You cannot marry her, she's an Osu, because if you marry her,
problem.
We all get affected and infected." So, and I said, "Well, she's my wife." So that was the controversy.
I can imagine it.
I went ahead and married her.
I'm not sure I saw that movie, but from the little you just mentioned, it must have been a very interesting one.
It was Uche Sotule who played my wife in that movie.
Yeah,
Regina Askia was also in that movie.
Okay.
Who else? I can't remember the other people. So eventually, some youths from my family went and abducted my wife at a time when she was pregnant. They wanted to go and abort the baby. They said they cannot allow their son to bring an Osu child into the world because they would all be affected and infected, like I said. In the process of the abortion, she died. And then they carried her body and dumped it somewhere. So I watched the scene where I carried the lifeless body of my wife walking, and then they did it in slow motion. As I was watching it, tears were coming.
I can imagine.
You know?
I can imagine.
So because I was actually remembering my own wife in real life. You understand?
And imagining
that happening to her. That was the story of The Unforgiven Sin.
Well, viewers back home, I'm sure you guys are enjoying this ride. This is just the beginning. We're going to take a 1-minute break, and when we come back, we will give you the rest of the story from legendary Zack Orji. Don't go away, please. You're welcome back to Nollywood Hardcore, the Legends Untold Story. And I hope you guys have not forgotten, it's still I and Zack Orji in the studio here. And he was just telling us the story of how he began and his first movie, The Unforgiven Sin. Now, talking about, now I know your first movie, but I'd like to show you a movie on the screen. I think I remember this one very well. Play this movie for us.
My goodness, see the way I looked like. Good heavens. Promise me you'll do it first, Jesse. What's the nature of the job? Come on, Jesse, promise me. Trust me. Okay, I promise. An agency for an American producer is offering $150,000 for a movie. Just a movie? Yeah. They want a black woman who can make love to a dog in a blood. It's all make believe. This is our chance to get gold. Like that. What am I afraid? Have I really your wife? Or just a man who goes up to your selfish purpose? Oh my God. Fred, you want me to sleep with a dog and die? Why you marry another woman to enjoy my money? I'm glad I now know your hidden agenda. Good day. Hello? Hello? Giovanni, listen. Nobody is willing to do this job. Besides, the only client who reluctantly agreed to do it is asking for $350,000. Is that okay by you? Okay, I'll get back to you. Listen, Jesse. I've just called a doctor friend of mine to ask if this deal will have any side effect on you, and he said no way. I've also called the agency to renegotiate. They're now willing to pay $350,000. Jessica, if you don't do this job, I'll commit suicide. This could be our last chance to make big money in this country. Honey, it's been 3 months now that you've been in this dirty job. But with this money, it's goodbye to prostitution. Do you know how much we stand to lose if we let this deal just slip away? 30 million naira. 30 million naira. Jessica, 30 million. Okay, I'll do it. I love you, Jessie. Listen, it's going to be all right, okay? This was Glamour Girls.
Yes.
96.
Glamour Girls. 1996.
Mhm.
You know, there's something unique about your character here. Okay, first of all, let me commend your acting skills here. Now, anybody watching this will understand why you were given the award. So it wasn't a mistake at all. You are a fantastic actor.
Thanks.
And then the uniqueness of this character. This lady right here is telling you that you're using me for business. I should go and sleep with the dog and die. He didn't say anything about that. He went back to renegotiate. Oh my goodness. When I watched it, I was like, oh my God, what is this guy all about? You know, so is what you think about this character? Is this part of the things that Nigerians were going through back then in Italy?
No, even right now, Nigerians are going through it. Even right here in Nigeria.
Even right here in
People
Nigeria.
are desperate to make it. The end justifies the means as far as they're concerned. If you know what a lot of the young people are doing today to make ends meet, because things are tough. And we are in a world where nobody asks you how you make your money. They just want to see that you've made it.
And they glorify you for making
And
money.
a lot of young people, even some parents, push their children. Why don't you go and do what your mates are doing? Look at your mate. He's driving this car. Look at your mate. He has built this house. Look at your mate, what he's doing. So a lot of young people, they are desperate to make it and they're ready to do anything. Anything.
That's really sad.
It's really sad.
That's really sad that a human would sleep with an animal just for money.
So it's not something that started today. It's been there for as long as we can remember.
And it doesn't look like it's something that is going to stop anytime soon.
And it's all for the love of money. You know, the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. There's nothing wrong with money in itself because it's a means of exchange.
Yes.
But the love of money that pushes people to do unspeakable things is the root of all evil. I remember there were a lot of repercussions from this movie.
Yes.
A lot of repercussions.
The funny part is that people actually watch these movies and they see the repercussions and the lessons we try to pass, the messages behind these movies, does it not touch them to stop or not to get into it at all?
Well, everybody goes into things like this believing that my case is different.
Mm.
You understand? And for some, they don't care.
Yes.
As long as they make it, that's all that matters to them. That's all that matters to them.
Okay.
This is this movie. Oh my goodness.
Well, before you say what you want to say, let's play the next scene. Let's look at the next scene. This one. Okay, so thank you guys. Now, this long time ago that I saw this movie, it was actually this scene that stood this movie out for me. The uniqueness of this scene. Till today, I'm not sure there is any movie that has a more erotic scene
No,
than this Glamour
I haven't
Girls.
seen any. I haven't seen any, and it looks so real.
If you tell me it looks so real, I'll tell you it is real. I'm saying this from my angle, but as an actor, I know what is involved. But for anybody watching, will say, no, 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 this is real. No, no, there's nothing you guys will tell me. This is real. Because we could see the passion, we could see the romance, we could see the connection between the characters. Whose idea was this?
No, it was in the script.
It was in the script?
Well, the performance itself depends on the actors.
Oh yes. Because you could just have anything in the script and
it wasn't so explicitly
described
in the scene, in the script. But we wanted to make it as real as possible. And this was in '96.
Yes.
It was also at a time when it was taboo to show any kind of nakedness,
in the movies.
Any kind of nudity in Nollywood movies. It was a taboo back then.
So how did this one pass through?
Well, knowing Kenneth Nebwe,
yes,
he is the executive producer, the owner of the movie, and he was also a movie distributor.
Yes.
He wanted, if you know Kenneth Nebwe very well, whatever he does, he wants to do it very well and very explicitly done. So he was right there when we were filming this scene. And of course, what many people don't know is that while we're filming this scene, the whole crew is there.
Yes, they don't usually understand it.
They don't usually understand. But then, as an actor, you want to create the illusion of being someone else. So whatever Kenneth Nebwe did, he made sure he did it to the best of his ability. He wanted to get the best. So he was very particular about this bathtub scene.
Okay.
And he was right there. We looked like we were completely naked.
Yes.
but we were not.
You
we,
almost
look,
saw Eucharist's bumps.
we looked like we were naked, but we were not. She wasn't naked, I wasn't naked, but it was
It
so.
was so well done.
Yes, because first of all, as an actor, your primary job is not only to create the illusion of being someone else in the minds of the audience, but it is also your job to create believability in the
Yes.
minds of your audience, that whatever they watch you do, they believe that it is real. They believe it is real. They must be able to relate to what you're doing and believe that what you're doing is real. So that's the effect this scene had on a lot of people back then, when it was taboo.
Yes.
To do this kind of thing
in the movies.
Yeah, I remember being suspended by my church
for this.
Back then, we're talking about the 90s, before 2000.
Yes, you were married here.
I was married.
Did you have any issue with your wife?
I did.
You did? Oh.
Even though she's an actress, she
yes.
knows these things. But
yes,
then,
that's
what happens in this kind of case is people crying more than the bereaved.
Okay.
So they were putting a lot of things in her mind.
Exactly my point.
That was what happened.
I had to ask that question, because I am also an actor and I am also married, and oftentimes friends of my wife will ask my wife, "How do you cope?" They will ask her, "How do you cope?" And then my wife will ask them, "What do you mean? Why are you asking me how do I cope? My husband is just doing his job. Or do you guys want to give me money so that my husband will quit acting?"
I remember after the movie was released, my pastor invited me. Then I was a member of the board of trustees of the church.
Okay.
My pastor invited me and said that he has been receiving too many calls from members, from other members of the board of trustees. How can Zack go and do this kind of thing? It is scandalous. And that he said he called me because he wanted to suspend me. But he wanted to inform me first of all before suspending me. So, and eventually I was suspended for a month. He said his mother-in-law, because I knew the mother-in-law very well, he said, "How can Zack go and do this kind of thing?" That she was almost crying. He said, "For this reason, I want to inform you that I'm going to suspend you for 1 month." I was eventually suspended. And he said, well, he's not going to tell anybody. It's just between us, but that I'm suspended from doing any church activities at the time. While this happened, I was on another set of a movie called Golden Fleece. We were filming in Ikeja GRA. One guy called Alex, who was very well known in the industry back then, he worked with Punch newspapers. He came to the set where I was filming and said, "I just want to confirm from you before going to press. Is it true that you've been suspended by your church?" I said, "Who told you that?" He said, "I'm sorry, I can't reveal the source of my information." I was so angry because the pastor told me nobody.
Yes,
you understand
that it was confidential.
Yes, so
no one was supposed to hear it.
I went back. I told the pastor, "Can we see?" We saw, and I asked him. I told him what had happened. I said, "How did Punch newspaper reporter get to know about this?" He was just looking at me. He couldn't say anything. I said, "For this reason, I am leaving the church. I'm no longer a member of your church. Remove my name from the board of trustees. Remove my name from any document pertaining to the church." And I left. So He came to my house a few days after that and said that many of the members of the board of trustees, other church people, that they don't want me to leave. Say, please, they are rescinding the suspension, that they don't want me to leave. I said, no, my mind is already made up, and that people have been instigated already against me, that I cannot come to the church and worship in peace, that people will be looking at me as if I was a pariah.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like a pariah in the church when I'm worshiping, that it will disturb my worship. So that's how I left that church.
Oh, you left?
I did leave. Even when members of the Elders Council came to my house, about 5 members of the Elders Council came to my house to beg me, that the pastor sent them to reason with me not to leave. I told them my mind was made up. I left.
And you never went back?
I never went back.
So did you ever have any regrets doing that role?
No.
That makes you a professional.
I played because the next time I met with the pastor, I asked him a question. I said, would you call a military man, a soldier who goes to war and kills, would you call him a murderer? Cool. That was the question I asked him.
Cool.
He's doing his job as a soldier.
Did he answer you?
He couldn't answer me. I asked him a number of questions. I say, as a man, you take your wife to go and see the doctor, and the doctor takes her to another room and shields off everywhere and asks your wife to undress. He wants to examine her. Would you now say that the doctor had carnal knowledge of your wife? So I asked him a number of he's doing his job as a doctor. The soldier is doing his job as a soldier. Would you tell a Christian accountant not to attend to a Muslim customer in a bank? I asked him so many questions. He was just looking and he couldn't answer. I said, I am doing my job as an actor. My job is to create the illusion of being another person in the minds of the audience. My job is to create believability with my job. And that's what I did. Outside that, I didn't do any other thing.
This is a very important information for a whole lot of you out there, especially the actors. Because I know some actors that would say, no, I cannot kiss in a movie. No, I cannot do this. I cannot do that.
That you agreed to play the role.
But you agreed to play the role. And you see yourself as a professional actor. You are supposed to interpret a role to the believability. How do you use that word? Believability of the people watching. So how do you make these people believe you if you're not able to convince them? And we also have people that we look up to, people that we take as our role models, the American actors. What you guys did in that scene is even nothing compared to what the Americans do in their movies.
No, they are even more explicit.
And the part that breaks my heart.
We enjoy watching it.
Exactly. That's just what I was going to say. The part that breaks my heart is that we watch these Americans and we give them kudos. Mm-hmm. But when we do the same, we are being seen as outlaws or outcasts or even Osu.
I see people. I see some foreign films and I see a lot of blunders, contrivances here and there.
Yes.
And our people will just watch and it's okay. But if it's a Nollywood film,
they'll kill us. They murder us. We're used to it already, though. You know. Okay, so I was going to ask you, this series of movies back then, did you really make money from them?
No, we were just paid as actors. For us, it wasn't the money, it was the love of passion. Craft. I was passionate about my craft. Oh, yes. It wasn't the money.
So today, like there's a recent video that Kanayo, our colleague, did recently. He, made mention of some actors that would charge 1 million per day, they want to be paid ₦1 million for a day service. As an actor, how are you able to interpret your role comfortably if that is what you do?
No, there's a difference between what you charge and your role. Because what you charge, what an actor charges, depends on the value he places on his performance. Some people may charge 1 million because they just have one day to shoot. And for them, the minimum they want to earn in any project is that 1 million. So if you are hiring them for one day, they will charge you 1 million for that day. If it's 10 scenes they are doing, or if it's 5 scenes they are doing, I have a minimum I charge per day for any work I'm doing. Do you understand?
Okay.
I have a minimum I charge for any work I do outside the country, whether it's South Africa or the US or the UK or in Liberia or in Cameroon or in Ghana or wherever my work takes me. I have a minimum that I charge, even if I'm going to star for just 2 days. Yeah. So every actor has a minimum.
So
it's okay.
It's okay.
As long as it's okay for the producer to pay. That's not a problem.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's quickly look at the screen. Let's look at the next movie that rolls on the screen.
Time has come. I have done all that you asked me to do. I have gone through all the initiations. And the time for my reward, the time for my wealth has come. And I know that you will not fail. I have sacrificed a little. You foul. When I set you down, go out of this room and come back. You will turn into that boy. And this one will kill money. Kabamba. Zuko. Kabamba. Oscar. Kabamba. Yee. Karabita. Tuta. 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 I pray that this thing works. I pray that it does, or else I'm finished. I have to go and build my children. I have to go and build them.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So I'm sure you remember this one.
This is Blood Money.
Yes, this is Blood Money.
Same 96.
It was done the same 96. So, but you did Glamour Girls before Blood Money.
Which one came first? I can't even remember which one came first.
Okay, but between these two movies,
It was Blood Money before Glamour Girls,
really?
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I don't know myself, but I know that I played a cop in this Blood Money. I played a policeman
Okay.
in this Blood Money, and so between Blood Money and Glamour Girls, two questions: which did you enjoy playing more? And which do you think gave you the spotlight more? I know there are two great movies.
Actually, what gave me the spotlight was The Unforgiven Sin. Because after The Unforgiven Sin, I didn't need to do any audition I didn't need to go for any audition. Anytime I attended an audition, it was by choice.
Okay.
You understand?
Mm.
Like, I chose to do the audition for, what's this movie again by the same Kenneth Nebwe?
Rituals?
No, long before Rituals. It was another movie that made a lot of
Impact?
yeah. What's his name? What's his name? He was in that movie. What's her name? Liz Benson was in that movie. Bob Manuel was in that movie.
Is it True Confession?
True Confession.
Okay.
I chose to go for the audition of True Confession. But True Confession was in 94, before these.
Oh.
Yeah. True Confession was in 94. I said, I want to be in this man's movie. So I'm going for this audition, even though I had been offered some roles to play in other movies, like Ikuku. When we did Ikuku, like I can't remember the titles of the other films. I had done some other projects. It was at a time when it was The Unforgiven Sin that actually
Blew you.
yeah. Because after The Unforgiven Sin, people knew that I could act. I could deliver.
Mm.
I didn't need to go, but I went for this audition for, what did you call it again?
True Confession.
True Confession. That was in 94.
Okay.
And it was amazing. It was awesome. Because first of all, they gave me a one-page with some lines that I should go and study it and come back and say, no, I don't need to go and study it. I can
deliver right here, right now.
Right now. And if you know Kenneth Nebwe, when you are giving him what he wants, you see him smiling.
Yes.
In a certain way, you see him grinning. So as I was just looking at that piece of paper and I was reading, I saw the man, he started grinning from ear to ear. I knew that I had gotten it. Because that audition was done in Sonia Grammar School.
Okay.
It was done in Sonia Grammar. There were at that time, there were more than 1,000 people.
That came for the audition.
Yeah. So I saw him, he was shaking his head and grinning from ear to ear. I knew that I had gotten him. So from there, they whittled down the number and then moved it to his office on another day. He kept trying us in different characters. You understand? So it was before Blood Money. It was before Glamour Girls.
Okay.
You know, and it was just amazing.
Okay. How would you describe the role of the marketers in Nollywood? Maybe then and now.
The role of the marketers was very crucial for the survival of the industry back then. Because if you do a party and nobody attends, it's a waste. If you shoot a movie that you cannot distribute, then it's a waste, no matter how good. So they were the only means of outlet we had, and they were very, very crucial to the industry. Not only that, they were the main executive producers back then. They were the ones who brought their funds to invest in movies.
Yes.
And most of them, like Kenneth Nebwe, had already been into distribution. Kenneth Nebwe had already been into distribution of Yoruba films before
he started making movies.
Yes, before he started making movies himself. So their role was very crucial to the survival of the industry. Very, very crucial, yeah. Even though some of them might have abused the privilege they had back then, but they were the only means of distribution that we had back then.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the things that has happened recently. Just a couple of weeks, it's not even up to weeks like that, per se. We just lost a young, vibrant actor in the person of Junior Pope. Um, how would you describe his death? And what do we need to do as an industry to not allow such a thing to happen again?
We need to insist on insurance. We need to insist on safety measures for certain roles we are playing. And it is the job of the producer. It is also the job of the Actors Guild to make sure that these things are taken care of. I did a job in Hollywood back in 2006. Friendly Enemies, that's the title of the movie. I remember before I could star in that movie, the producer had to pay for insurance for me. Even though there wasn't any such risk, but it's standard procedure for the producer to pay for insurance to the Screen Actors Guild. I remember the producer doing that. I spent 6 weeks in Hollywood for that movie. I was in the movie with Kate Henshaw. I played the leading role. She was in the movie also. My wife was also in the movie, along with our Hollywood colleagues. For anybody to do a scene in the water, there must be certain minimum requirements. The actor must wear a lifeguard. I don't know how they allowed that scene to be shot without a lifeguard. It's unthinkable. It is just unthinkable that Junior Pope had to pass away because of something as, I don't know. It's I don't think we should go into blaming
The blame game.
Yeah, I don't think we should go into the blame game right now, but I just
Yes,
want to
because-
say that there must be a minimum standard.
Yes.
There must be requirements for anybody, for any actor to shoot in the water. There must be requirements. If those requirements are not met, that scene should not be shot.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think the Nollywood industry has been very, very careless.
Sorry
for
to
a very
cut you
long
short. I
time.
remember in 2005, I did a film with Teco Benson titled The Bastard. In a particular scene in the movie, some hoodlums had gained entrance into my home and they wanted to rape my daughter. And while there was a scuffle between them, I was to have been shot. I remember we shot overnight that day. Again, that's another issue that we need to tackle. I remember this scene, it was around 5 a.m. We were still filming. 5 in the morning. We had hired some police guns. And while we were filming, a bullet went off and I was shot here. What saved me was that it was a plastic bullet. But that bullet had been forgotten into the gun because that gun, it was unserviceable pistol from the Nigerian police that was given to us to use. And they didn't check it. They didn't check to know that there was a forgotten bullet there. While we were filming, the thing went off and I was shot. It took 6 weeks to heal. If it had been a real bullet, it would have been a totally different matter. I remember when we were filming Blood Money, I came out, we shot a particular scene in Festac. I ran out of the house in pursuit of my wife in the movie. And it was supposed to be that as I was coming out, the car into which she entered was driving off. Now there was a little delay of a few seconds. The car did not drive off and we were filming, I couldn't stop. So I improvised. The car was still there. I hit the boot of the car. As I was hitting the boot of the car, that was when the car was departing. And I fell and got bruised. While that was going on, I still carried on and scooped some sand and flung it at the departing car. All these things were not in the script. But as an actor, you must improvise sometimes. When you come up against certain situations, you must improvise. That was exactly what happened. And I got bruised.
When I watched that scene, I understood exactly what you're saying now. From watching it, I was able to understand it because I am in the system.
Yeah.
But an ordinary viewer would not understand it.
And a number of other times when I've had to improvise. Because again, believability is key. Believability. And sometimes when you improvise, it becomes even more natural than the original script.
Yes.
That's what improvisation does.
True that. So these are some of the things, some of the risk that we have to take as actors in doing our jobs for people to believe.
And we went through all those things, no insurance.
No insurance, no safety measures, nothing. That's why I said the Nollywood industry has been a very careless industry over the years.
Very careless.
So many accidents that has happened.
And the blame has to go to the guilds. Why do I say the guilds? Because the guilds are there for the welfare and well-being of their members. So the guilds must take certain steps to ensure that the well-being of their members is taken care of. But you see a lot of people, I want to be president of this, I want to be president of that. They don't have the foggiest idea about what they want to do as president. They are just there because they want to be known as president of the guild. Maybe because of some benefits that
comes with it.
Yeah, that some benefits that come with being president or whatever. But you must know that as the president of a guild, your job is the welfare and well-being of members of your guild.
I just remember that you were a one-time Actors Guild of Nigeria.
When I was president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, we had a group we called Committee of Guild Heads, and we used to meet to make sure that those were the times when we would engage the government, we would engage the Minister of Information and say, this is what we want. I remember the second Nigerian Film Festival was being organized by the Nigerian Film Corporation. And they went to bring Michael Powers from South Africa.
The Guinness ambassador.
To be the face of Nigerian film industry.
I remember
being
that.
Organized by the Nigerian Film Corporation.
I remember
we
that.
took on, as the Committee of Guild Heads, we took on the MD of the Film Corporation back then. We said, how can you go and bring somebody from South Africa to be the face of the second Nigerian Film Festival? We have RMD. We have myself. We have other top actors.
Yes. That
could be the face of Nigerian, you understand?
Yes.
And we told the MD that if you don't, they said, well, that a Guinness sponsored and is a Guinness, we said, we don't care. Nigeria is the largest consumer of Guinness. We even consume it more than the country where
That
it
makes
comes
sense.
from.
And that is a fact.
Yes, we told him all of this, that if you don't change this, if you don't do something about it, we are going to make sure that this festival does not hold. Eventually, it didn't hold. He said, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. We said, okay, then this festival will not hold. That's what guild heads should be doing.
So is it like we don't have an association of guild heads anymore?
I don't know if we still have committee of guild heads, but I remember we set up the committee of guild heads and we were very proactive. I remember one guy, I can't remember his name again, who did an audition once at ECOWAS Hotel, where almost the whole
The whole
industry
industry
attended.
was
Good.
robbed.
He was telling people that they are going to star in a Hollywood movie and all of that.
We're supposed to shoot parts in Egypt,
Yeah.
parts in Ethiopia, parts
Good.
in America.
Thank God you remember.
Yes.
He went to Calabar and did an audition and was charging people money for the audition. My task force chairman in Calabar called me and reported to me. I told him, take the police and go and arrest him. He will refund all the money he charged people for audition. That I've never seen anywhere in Nigeria where people are charged for audition. I was the president of the guild then. And they took police, arrested him and put him in cell until he refunded that money before he was released. That's how proactive we were back then. He was arrested. You understand?
Yes.
I made sure that I had an eye everywhere. We had people who were running things, who were monitoring what was going on in the industry back then. But today, I don't know what is happening.
Okay. Well, we have to ask the present president of Actors Guild of Nigeria.
He's not the only one. He
Emeka
can't do it
Ross.
alone. Let me tell you again. We had a pact with the Census Board, with the Film Corporation. There was discipline. I remember a certain very well-known actress was disciplined when Pete Ene was chairman of the Actors Guild Enugu State Branch. Because I was in touch with them 24/7. I said, anything that you consider not appropriate happening in any of the branches, call me immediately, we will address it. Pete Ene called me and complained about a certain actress.
You may mention the person's name. Yes,
I don't want to, in respect for her, I don't want to mention her name right now.
Okay.
Some people may know the one. And said, this actress has been giving us a lot of trouble. We have a certain dress code in Enugu, in the Enugu branch, and she violates it. That is without any. I told him, suspend her and send it to me. That was when there was discipline. We had agreed with the MD of Census Board, Mrs. Rosalyn Ode, back then, that if we suspend anybody in the industry, they must honor it. And that was a time when your film must be censored or classified before it is released into the market.
Yes.
If we see any suspended actor or actress in a movie, that film will not be classified or censored by the Census Board. So I told him, suspend her and send it to me. I will endorse it or I will ratify it. He suspended, I told him, suspend her for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. He suspended her and sent it to me. I signed it. I sent it to the Census Board. I notified the Census Board. I notified all the guilds. I notified the Marketers Association. That's how we worked back then. And nobody was using her again. She became a pariah in the industry. Nobody used her again. After she had served the suspension for 1 month, she came to me begging. Eventually, I talked some sense into her. I told her, you have to serve another month before we rescind it. And that was exactly what happened. I remember expelling 2 other famous actresses who had some altercation that brought a certain disrepute to the industry. That one was expulsion from the industry.
Oh, wow.
One of them got her lawyer to sue us. I said, okay, let's see how the lawyer will force the industry to work with
To
you.
accept her.
Eventually, she had to get the lawyer to go and remove the case from the court. So there was discipline back then. There was discipline when I was president of the guild, and it became possible because we had a committee of guild heads who could easily meet at short notice and agree on how the industry should move forward. And then we had the census board to back us. Yes.
Okay. Let's move out from the guild issues a little bit and come back to you, personal matters. From the beginning of this podcast, I described you as someone who could equal Samson, or if not, beat his record. I had to do that, or I had to describe you that way because not too long ago, there was rumor everywhere that a certain Mr. Zack Orji was dead. The rumor went viral to the point that when Mr. Ibu died, they included your name, the names of the people that also died. Like they say, there's no smoke without fire. Or is it there's no fire without smoke? Which one's supposed to come first, Seth?
It's the fire that brings the smoke. So there's no smoke without fire.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, I'm sure a lot of people are eager to know exactly what happened. And recently you had a trip to London and then you came back. Do you mind describing to the audience, the viewers, the listeners, what exactly happened to you?
Well, I just got up one day and saw some lie from the pit of hell. I don't know who originated it. That they had died, not me.
Because you're the one talking here.
Yes, that they had died, not me. And I was receiving calls from all over the world. Just to confirm if it was true. Calls from people who hadn't spoken to me in years. People I hadn't heard from in years. But it was all a lie. I just want to believe that somebody did that to grow their social media page. Whatever. For whatever reason, somebody originated that lie. I don't know. But it was all a lie. And it happened at the time when we had just lost Amechi
Monago, yes.
We had just lost Amechi Monago when the thing happened. So some people actually believed.
Yes.
I remember my senior colleague and brother, Peter Doce, calling me.
Yes, I got several calls through that period.
Actually, he called my number and the first word he mentioned was my wife's name because he believed that it was my wife who had picked the call.
Oh.
Which means he believed. Because the thing is that when you read something in print, you believe it to be authentic. So he thought it was true. He was calling my wife to confirm. So the first name he called was my wife's name. And when I answered, he said, Zack, Ongewa, are you the one? I said, yes, Enyi, because I call him Enyi. I said, yes, I am the one. He got emotional as he was speaking. He said he will call me later. So I just want to say that for whatever we do, we will receive the result because karma does not sleep. So that person who originated that lie will receive the result of what he did. will receive the result of the pain he caused a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I can say. Prior to that time, I had slumped in the bathroom here in Abuja. And what many people don't know is that you were one of the two people, yourself and Benedict Johnson. Yourself and Benedict Johnson were the ones who carried me from the second floor down and took me to the hospital. That's how this whole journey started. And on the 1st of January, I underwent the first, I went through the first surgery. And prior to that time, you know what happened on Christmas Day?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I had lost my balance and was falling backwards. It was you and Benedict again who held me, And this other one happened, and on the 29th, on 29th of December, 2023, I got admitted in the hospital. Thank God for you guys who brought me down. And eventually, my journey started. First surgery, 1st of January. It was after the first surgery that I gained consciousness. I could recognize people. Yes. I could talk coherently, and a month after that, after going through a number of scans, I went through about 9 different scans. I did a scan and they realized they saw that there was still some residue of blood clot in my brain. They had to do a second surgery. I think it was on the 4th of February or 3rd or what. My birthday was on the 4th of February, They did a second surgery and scooped out the blood clot, and I was okay. But then stitches were there and it took some time to heal and all of that. And it was recommended that I should travel to the UK and do some post-surgery assessment, which was why I traveled to the UK. And as God would have it, this God is a master planner. The doctor who attended to me in the UK knows the doctor who
you were going to see in the
no, the one who attended to me in Nigeria. They were colleagues. They went to school and they had practiced together before Dr. Biodun Ogungbo came back to Nigeria to continue his practice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he is great. He's a neurosurgeon and he's very good, And I came back. On the 16th of this April. Okay. Yeah, that was last Tuesday. I came back and I have been okay, even though I need to go through some stuff. But as far as the brain surgery is concerned, I am very okay. Yeah.
Okay. We praise God for you.
Yeah, God has saved me from death many times.
Please tell us about that.
I have survived different accidents in Nigeria, in Ghana, and a near accident in Cameroon. The last job I went to direct in French in Cameroon, I had a near accident. There was one in 2001. Some kids, in December 2001, some kids, I don't know where they got that car from, maybe their father's car or whatever. They was just driving recklessly and they hit me and I landed with this side. I went to the hospital, I got okay. In the early 2000 again, I had an accident while returning from location in Accra, and the car went into a ditch. And this was around 9 in the night. My friend in Ghana, Sly, Obiba Sly, while I was in Ghana, gave me his car to be using for my location runs and all of that. I had an accident with the car, lost control. The car went into a ditch around 9 p.m. It was some good Ghanaians that stopped and then pulled the car with a towing rope out of the ditch. 2009, I had another accident between Bauchi and Gombe. That one claimed the life of my partner who was sitting by my side. Yeah, the car, the tire exploded. This was around 2 in the afternoon. The tire exploded and I lost control of the vehicle because I was driving, and then things started skidding and an oncoming vehicle collided with us.
Into you guys.
And then I don't know how many times we somersaulted. It was a Land Cruiser. Don't know how many times we somersaulted and went off the road. And my partner who was sitting by my side was sleeping when it happened, and he never woke up from the sleep.
Oh my goodness.
I had another accident again when I finished filming in Port Harcourt. If you know the Port Harcourt airport.
Yes, Omagwa.
Between the gates and the airport, as you're going to the airport, there's a certain place on your left-hand side where there's a barricade, with some wire, gauze and whatever, because there's a ditch. Yeah, that ditch can take at least 2 vehicles.
Wow.
The height of 2 vehicles. The executive producer was taking me to the airport for my flight back to Lagos. In a Toyota Sienna. I don't know what happened. He was driving, I was on the passenger side. Thank God for seat belts. That's why today, once I enter a vehicle, the first thing I do is to fasten my seatbelt. The same thing in 2009 when So I don't know what happened. He lost control of the vehicle. It skidded off the road and went through that fence, broke through it and went into the ditch.
Oh my goodness. Are you for real?
No kidding. Went into the ditch. We were face down like this. And thank God I was wearing my seatbelt, otherwise I would have gone through the glass.
Yes, of course.
By God's grace again, I didn't incur any injuries.
No scratch, no broken bones.
Nothing.
And all of these
even
accidents,
the one in 2009 that had somersaulted many times, I had just a little scratch here. Nothing happened to me.
All of these accidents happened in the line of duty. Either while you're filming or going to film or returning from a film. So some of the things we have to go through to entertain our people. Now, your recent surgery, you said it was a blood clot in your brain. Do you think the cause of this is maybe as a result of the series of accidents you've had in the past?
It could be. It could be. But I remember the one in Port Harcourt happened, and thank God I always like going to the airport early. I was still able to catch my flight that day. So somebody sent a towing rope to pull me out of the ditch because I couldn't come out on my own. They pulled me out of the ditch. I came out. I sat down for a while. Vehicles packed. They were saying, my goodness. Because when they saw the vehicle, they couldn't believe that we came out of the vehicle unhurt. So I went to the airport clinic. They attended to me and then told me to do an X-ray as soon as I get back to Lagos, which was what I did. But the X-ray said everything was okay, but you never know, That was exactly what happened. So God has saved me from different accidents. God saved me from 2 brain surgeries. God saved me from a lot of things.
I think God has a very special purpose for you.
I believe so.
Yes, because we as actors, we are instruments through which God uses us to pass on messages to the people across the globe. And I think God has different purpose for each and every one of us. So there must be something special about you in the eye of God, because we humans cannot comprehend it.
No, we can't.
Well, the best I
I
can
can
say
only
is
say
that,
that God has been exceedingly gracious and merciful to me.
yes,
Exceedingly. I'm telling you, exceedingly gracious and merciful to me. That's why I'm still alive today.
yes, yes, yes. Because people have passed through lesser things
Mhm.
and they lose their
Yeah.
lives on it. We thank God for your life. In rounding up, in rounding up, let's switch a little bit into politics. Something that happened some time ago during the last election. You were one of the people that supported President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. And because you supported him, you were backlashed by some Nigerians that accused you of being paid to support him. They accuse you of taking money. Some say backstabbing, some say you betrayed, and stuff like that. Um, would you want to make some clarity on that?
I will only say that I supported the candidate I believed was the right man for the job. At the time, I did it. And I still believe that in this dispensation, he is the right man for the job. There were a lot of negative backlashes. I was blacklisted in the industry. People said all sorts of things. People accosted me even in the supermarket as I would go to, shop in the supermarket. They say, "Hey, come and see that man who supported Tinubu. Oh yeah, give us some of the money now. Are they hungry? Give us some of the money we can give you." People don't know that we did that of our own volition. I did it of my own volition without anybody prompting me. I didn't receive any, what would I say? I didn't receive any gratification for doing it. I did it
Because you believed
because
in
I
him.
believed that he was the right man for the job, and I still do. The only thing is that so much damage has been done to our economy, and people expect an overnight
Change?
change. People expect that overnight, as soon as the next person becomes president, that everything will be all right. It doesn't happen like that.
In Nigeria.
Not in Nigeria. Not anywhere, anyway. It doesn't happen like that. It will take a while for things to get well. But when somebody takes a step, you can tell where the person is headed. With the steps taken by the president so far, you will see that this is a man who wants to leave a legacy.
Exactly.
And that's what he's doing. He's putting in place measures to leave a legacy for the well-being of Nigerians. Because what else is he looking for? Is it money he's looking for? No. Is it fame he's looking for? He has all of it. So what is it that he can leave behind as a legacy? That's what he's trying to do. Taking on projects that have defied various administrations, like making the refineries to work and a whole lot of things.
The removal of fuel subsidy.
Yes, and all of that. And then, of course, the electric cars coming in at this time and, hybrid vehicles and all of that. So this is a man who wants to leave a legacy, and he has the maturity. The man was not funded by anybody, so you cannot come and tell him that he must do things this way. He's
No
doing things the
godfather.
right, no godfather. So he's doing things the right way
Yes.
because he wants to leave a legacy. That's what I believe. That's the kind of person we need at this time when so much damage has been inflicted on the economy. So I will only say, let us be patient. He has not even done 1 year.
True.
The thing that is wrong with us is that we have a lot of naysayers who cannot provide solutions. All they do is to stand somewhere and criticize. And I've never seen a man who has been as criticized as this one. But then he's carrying on with his agenda.
True.
Yeah, and I believe after the first 4 years, even before the first 4 years elapse, Nigerians will see a
Why he is the
change.
right man for
Yeah.
it. Thank you very much, Mr. Zack Orji. It's so nice to have you here. It's so nice to hear from you. I always tell you guys that you will hear from the horse himself. The horse will speak to you. It's not going to be a thing of hearsay, them say, who knows say, who goes say. You're hearing from Mr. Zack Orji, first hand, first class. There's still so much to say.
There's a lot to say.
There's so much to say, but unfortunately, time will not permit us.
Maybe we'll have a part B of this someday.
I think so too. I think so too.
And talk more about the works I've done outside.
You see, there's just so much to say. Nollywood hardcore, the legends. I mean, you've spent how many years in the industry?
30 years plus.
How can we talk about a 30 years experience in 1 hour or 1 hour plus? No, look at it. So
For example, not many people know that Nino B.
Yes,
Nino B.
Yeah.
We met first in South Africa when I went to work.
Not in Nigeria.
Not in Nigeria. He had already been working outside. We met first when I went to do some jobs in South Africa. We were together also in a movie before he even came into the industry in Nigeria. So there are a lot of things to talk
There's
about.
just so much to talk about. But then, hopefully, on popular demand, because you guys have to ask for it, then we will now bring it to you guys. You may have a part B. It's Nollywood thing now, part 1 and 2. I know now.
We are used to it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zack Orji. It's so nice to have you here, and it was such a very lovely time, having this talk with you. But then, before we let you go, usually we would appreciate our guests. So here is something little for you from Nollywood Hardcore with Imala Vista, and this one is especially for you, so nobody's going to claim it. Anybody that puts his or her head here, say no, please. It is for Zack Orji and nobody else.
Thank you very much.
This is for you, sir.
I received this with appreciation.
Thank you.
I'm going to lay my head on it this night.
Thank you.
When I go to bed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. So, guys, at this point, we call it a wrap for this episode with the legendary Zack Orji. Until we come your way again, who knows who the next legend is going to be? You have to find out yourself. Stay tuned on this channel to find out who next is going to be. But for Zack Orji, it is good night from
Over
us.
and out.
Over and out, and good night from me, Ima Ehumadu, aka La Vista. See you guys next time. Thank you. Goodbye.